Hey guys, it's Tanya Target here. I'm here with Eliza Priddle from Mindset Mechanics, and we're talking about your story. First off, before we get cracking, can you guys hear us? I know our internet connection is a little bit dodgy, so if anyone is there, can you type, yes, Tan, I can hear you, I can see you, so that we can get cracking. Is anybody there?
Is anybody there?
Is there anybody out there? All right, well, what we might do is we'll get cracking. We'll see what happens, what comments come in. And if need be, I can always share this after. So, Eliza, thank you so much for joining us here today and adding such great insight and content and value to the tribe. Tell us a little bit about, so we're going to be talking about your story here today. I can't wait, by the way, for Facebook live streaming to be able to turn the camera the other way. But anyway, tell us about the story, Eliza, exactly what we're going to be talking about.
So how a story works in our heads, what we've got to be aware of is what runs in our heads before we go to do a job. So if you're picking up the phone to ring a client, so let's say you've got somebody who's interested in working with you and you're about to pick up the phone to have a chat to them and maybe sell you into their program, them into your program. What we've got to be aware of is what's going on in your head beforehand. So you might be thinking, oh, am I going to interrupt them? I hope I don't interrupt them. Or I wonder if, is this the right time for them? Are they going to have, maybe they won't have the money. I know that they're not doing well right now, so maybe they won't have the money. These are stories that run in our head. And what we, in the past, we think about, we've had an experience where somebody said to us, I can't afford to work with you right now. And so that story then starts to run in our heads. So what we have to understand is we're in control of that story. That story creates an intention or an energy in your space, and that gets transferred onto the client. If you go into a sales, let's say you're going in to sell to somebody, your whatever it is you're selling, your program or whatever it is, and your intention is already that they can't afford it, then that's exactly what will happen. So Tanya, it's really about understanding what's going on in our own head before we even make the call, before we even go to do the job. So in your instance, if you were about to sit down and write, let's say, a blog for your business, if you think that my message isn't strong enough or nobody hears me, that's the intention, and that's actually the response you'll get from people. So we have to be really careful and really aware that our thoughts create our reality.
Now, so what you're talking about with your story is you're talking about that, that it's that sound, it's that voice that you hear in your head when you go in to do something. And I think this is a lot. The reason why I wanted to do a live streaming on this is because what your story is telling you, and I know, look, we've read all the memes and the quotes that your thoughts and your thoughts create your reality. But I just want to dig deeper into this concept of what your story is, because literally whatever story you do have is in fact going to be creating how much money you have in the bank, how much love you have in your life or you don't, how much success that you do have. And it's often why people can't push past certain points. They reach a certain level of success or happiness, but they can't move beyond that. And that's because that story. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. And the awareness of the story is what we don't get. Your intention towards something is going to create that reality. So you touched on a good subject there of relationships or love. Our intention going into a relationship is exactly what we'll experience. So when we get past, we all go through the honeymoon period where we are really super nice and we're making our intention is to make somebody happy. You're actually closer to who you really are in that moment when you're making effort, when you're consciously aware of your own behavior, and you catch yourself out on bad behavior. You're actually closer to who you really are in that honeymoon phase. When we start to move into the relationship 3 months in, some of our stories start to come up. So we start to doubt our partner because of what's happened in the past. So our intention creates our reality. Our thoughts create our reality, and our thoughts come from what's happened in the past. So if you can think about, and I'll give you an example, if I'm going into a call where a random person has been referred to me and I'm ringing up just to have a chat to them, if my intention is just to have a chat, that's exactly what it'll be. If my intention when I'm going to meet up with somebody for a coffee is that I'm just going to have a coffee with them, you've got to look deeper into that. The reason I'm saying that is because I might be scared of selling to them. I might be scared of not being able to help them or not being able to follow through, you know, and these are all things. I'm bringing all this stuff up because this is what's the stuff that used to go on in my head. Is I go and have a coffee with somebody because I wanted to make friends with them, not because I wanted to help them in their lives become a better person, because I wasn't sure that I was capable of doing that. So I'd go and have a coffee and it wouldn't really go anywhere from then.
So tell me, Eliza, where does the story come from? When does it develop? When does that story develop? And how does it evolve as our life? I was going to say as our story evolves, but how does that story change as we change?
So we all, 75% of our programming, our stories are created before we're 8 years old, okay? And the rest of it is via experiences. So if we have a bad experience in our first relationship, our first love, if you like, we have a bad experience, that story will play over and over and over again in your mind, just to remind you, don't do that because you're going to get hurt. Look what happened in the past. But most of your story is created before you're 8. So your relationship with men will be a very obvious reflection of your relationship with your father, for example.
Just to interrupt you, Eliza, so Lindsay, hey Lindsay, how you doing, is telling us that there's bad picture and bad sound. Can we get some other, and thank you for that feedback, Lindsay, just to see if it's our end or if it's your end. If anyone else, Jacqueline, I see you on, and Tracy, I see you on, Alicia, if you could just let us know, how is the sound and the picture from where you are? Otherwise, what we'll do is we'll see if we can move to somewhere else. We'll do a walking, roving, chatting interview and move somewhere else and see if we can get a little bit better reception. Very bad. It's here coming in and out, Susan. Eliza, why don't we go for a walk?
Sure.
And we will see what we can find out. So just bear with us. Is there somewhere on your property that you know has awesome internet? Thank you, Susan. So sound is fine, picture's bad. So, obviously I'm sharing this in my closed pod, and you guys know a little bit about me. But for when I share this, or I share this in my weekly blog, for those who are new and don't know me, I am of course a mother, have a beautiful daughter, media and publicity coach and journalist, and when I launched my training, my teaching small business owners how to get on TV, in magazines and on radio, and in newspapers for free, I had some serious stories that I had to overcome. By the way, Debbie, how is this? Anthea says it's all good where she is. How's the sound and the video now? Is that okay, guys? Or is it still, up the proverbial creek without a paddle? How are we going?
Sound is fabulous.
Sound is fabulous. Okay. So I had some serious stories to work through. The first story I had to work through was that as a single mum, that I couldn't do this on my own. I couldn't build the empire that I wanted to build. I couldn't create I couldn't help as many people as I wanted to help. I couldn't have the impact because of a story playing out in my mind. Eliza, how common is that kind of a story with people?
Very common. And the really cool thing is the realization that you actually have already done all that. Whether you had a husband by your side or a partner by your side when you did that didn't make any difference. It's only in your mind that you needed somebody to help you do that. You'd already done it. You'd done it a couple of times over with a couple of different businesses. That little realization for you was massive because you understood that, well, hang on a minute, I've done this. And this is where we've got to be really careful of our stories, is that I can't do this by myself. Well, when are you ever by yourself in reality? Just because you're now single as a single female, does that mean you've lost all your friends and all your family and everybody that ever supported you? No, you've lost one partner in your life, and maybe the loss of that partner is exactly what you needed to find the motivation to push forward with your own stuff. You're only ever responsible for what you've created. Have a look at the good stuff that you've created in the past and you'll actually start to realise how good you are at stuff. how cool it is that you can do shit.
Now, yeah, speaking of the shit word, Eliza's just got back. One of the reasons I wanted to have this chat to Eliza is Eliza and Tony, Eliza is my mindset coach. So I'm so excited. Like, we seriously are just so blessed to have Eliza on this video. Thank you so much. And since and I've been working with Eliza for a couple of years because, quite frankly, I've had a lot of baggage to shift.
Haven't we all?
Yeah, haven't we all? And since you've come back, you had a real shift in America. And when you came back, you sort of went, people are playing this story, they're using it as an excuse. It's time to call bullshit on our story. So tell me about that and that realization.
Yeah, it was a massive realization for me. One of the things that I found playing in my own head is that I have to be nice to people. And the reason I have to be nice to people is because I saw myself as a bitch. So my story was, if I am who I really am to people, I'm a bitch and they're not going to like me. That's garbage, because my whole purpose in life is to help people realize their dreams. Yeah, I can be a cow sometimes. I can be a nasty cow, but that's all in the past now. I've done a whole lot of work in the last 5 years, and I've realized I'm actually a pretty nice person. And one of the things I get off on is seeing people find success. So I had to hit that story on the head and say, well, hang on, I'm not a bitch. What my job is to be a leader and to step up and to show people lovingly when they're stuck in their own story. It's really hard when you're stuck in your story of, I can't do this, or I've failed before, so it's going to happen again. It's really hard to get out of that story. If I give you too much love, if I empower you to stay in that story, you're never going to make change.
So I guess, sorry to interrupt you, but how do you know you're stuck in a story? Like, what would be the signs that you are stuck in your own story? Because it can be really tricky, and you're this thing called the ego, which, not the ego that a lot of people think about where you up yourself or something, but the ego in terms of that negative noise that sometimes comes in your head. How do you know, what are the signs that you're stuck? You're stuck in that cycle, you're in that pattern. How do you even see that? Because quite often we can't even see it.
And a great question, because we can't see it. It is our own story and we believe it to be true. The way you see that you're stuck in a story is nothing's changing. You're doing the same thing you did yesterday and the day before, and it's Groundhog Day and nothing's changing. When you're stuck in that story and you're unhappy and you're not getting the results that you want to get out of life, it's usually because we're looking at our own story. Now, one of our stories can be that it's everybody else's fault, that my life is like it is because of, my husband is mean to me and treated me badly, or, I don't get a fair go out there, or, all this stuff that we blame an external source. That can be a story as well, because ultimately the responsibility is yours. And that's where I step in lovingly and say, hey, you need to take responsibility of this. You're capable of amazing things. Everybody is. But when we start to just put ourselves down and get stuck in that story, how do you recognize it? Look at your life and look at your patterns. And if you're doing the same thing that you did yesterday and expecting a different result, there's a story there.
Yeah, well, that's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing every day, expecting different results. But again, this can be quite tricky, because your story can be awesome in certain aspects of your life.
Yeah.
And then there could be a portion of it. It's like a book. And say the book has like 15 or 25 chapters, and you might be rocking it on 20 chapters, and you might think that this is pretty cool and stuff that just comes up as just part and parcel. But could you have like just a few chapters where the story is repeating, and the rest can look fine?
Yeah, of course. You can be amazing in one area, and the reason you're amazing in that area is because you believe in yourself. And then another area. So you can be incredible at business and really crappy at relationships, or you can be like me, awesome in relationships and really crappy at selling, because I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I didn't want to come across as pushy or negative. But the truth is, if you come into my program, I know I'm going to change your life. I absolutely know without a shadow of a doubt that it will change your perspective on your entire life, and it will change how you're living. That's not selling, and I understand that now. And to call you on your stuff is my job. Lovingly push you to be the amazing being that you are and how good you are at things. So if you're really great at relationships, how would it feel to be really great at a business as well? How would it feel to be successful in every part of your life? The stuff that we're bad at is what we stay away from. usually that's why we're not improving.
I was just as an example, and you know, I've been sharing more of my story. And by the way, thank you, Marliese. This scarf is just beautiful. I've been sharing more of my story of late, and I came to work with Eliza two Mays ago.
Yep.
This is the start of our third year working together. When I launched my my 2-day workshop, my live media and publicity training, I cried in front of a room full of people. It was the very first talk. I had left my husband not long earlier. I left him in January of that year. I sort of had enough money in the bank to pay rent for about 6 weeks, and so I literally had the weight of the world on my shoulders. I don't have family to back me up, so I was literally all in. And as those of you who follow me know, that is how I live my life. I'm all in, and I felt that pressure. And when I was standing out the front of that room at Suzanne Rodolfi's event, actually Healthy Net Wealthing at Bond University. I was, the keynote speaker, and I cried in front of a room full of people because in that moment, in front of that podium, I heard the story in my head that I had been told for a long time, that I could not survive on my own, that I couldn't do it, that I couldn't survive, and I in particular couldn't survive without a man in my life, which is a story that a lot of people play. And I share this with you because working with Eliza, and I'm so fortunate that I have, because I shifted that story and it was profound. But then a new story developed. And then the story developed that I could build a successful business as I had. I literally was on welfare, guys. I was on welfare. I qualified for a domestic violence grant and I was on welfare, and I built a 6-figure business in 6 months. But as those of you know a little bit more about my story, I'd built a 6-figure business before, a high 6-figure business that was turning 7 figures when an inland tsunami came through and wiped it out. So then I had a new story playing in my head that I can build a successful business, however, it will be taken away from me. And so if I didn't fix that story, then that would continue to play out. So, and I share that with you to show you the evolution of your story. So as though we fix something, as we remove the layers, other stories come up. Is this common in the work you do, Eliza, or is Tanya just a nutcase?
No, it's really common. I had, massive stories come up. We were in Vegas recently for a sales retreat with our business coaches, and I'm in a room, full of people, and the guys up the front, 25-year-old, amazing businessman. One of them has been in the business. He started the business 2 years ago, and he's got a $5 million turnover already. That's unheard of in how we say, prepare to lose money for the first 5 years that you start your business. This kid's up there, he's 25, 30 years old, and he's got a $5 million business in 2 years. I'm sitting back, and my story playing is, what can this kid teach me about business? I've been in business for 30 years. What the hell has he got to teach me? And I look at that story now and I laugh because I go, thanks. That's cool. I know I've got something to learn from this guy, because our stories are the opposite of the truth. So our stories run all the time. I've been working on my own mindset now for 5 years, and the really cool thing about it is now I love it when a story comes up, because it means I can grow, it means I can change, and I don't have to accept the experience that I'm having right now as my reality again and again and again. So your story comes up because technical tip, how do I mindset my computer to make Flash play?
Nice one, Fiona. Fiona, who is a world-class stand-up comedian, is absolutely hilarious, is having technical difficulties. How do you mindset your computer to make a Flash player work? Strip off naked, stand on one foot, and turn your head like this, and I understand it'll work.
That's not my answer, that's Tanya's.
And thank you, Sam. I'm glad you're loving it. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, Eliza.
Okay, so do our stories keep coming up? Absolutely, and that's called growth. Understand, though, if we do it the easy way and changing your mindset right now, when a belief comes up or a story comes up and you change it right now, you don't have to experience it again. Whereas in normal life, it takes us until we're 75 to get all those lessons. We can look back as a 75-year-old, 80-year-old person and go, gee, I wish I'd learnt that back then, and not have to do it over and over and over again. The beauty of it is the more stories that come up, the more growth you will have. The harder the bow is being pulled back, the harder you'll push forward. So do the stories keep coming up? Yeah, and you'll get to a point in your mindset ability that you'll look forward to them. And I can't wait. I was looking for them as I'm flying over to Vegas to make sure I'm as clear as I possibly could to get as much out of the sales retreat as I possibly could. And the massive growth I had over there was so cool. Came back. Our business is pumping. I'm pumped. I'm excited. And when I left here, the reason we got a business coach is because my story is I'm happy, I'm comfortable right now. I don't need to push forward. This is really good. We're a success as we are. I don't need any more than this. That, my friends, is bullshit. Because do I want more? Do I want to be able to travel 3-4 times a year? Do I want to be able to live, work my business 15 hours a week and play with my horses the rest of the time? Absolutely. And unless I push forward, I won't get that. So my comfortable story was absolute bullshit, and that's why, I'm starting to promote the get out of your own bullshit.
So that's an interesting point. So, and I think there'll be many of us that can relate with this. So you had a story that was telling you that you didn't need to be as successful, or rather you didn't need to take it to the next level because you're already doing really well in what you do, and you don't need that because you've already got a really nice property and you've got a loving husband, so you don't need this stuff. And some people might go, oh, if I want more, I'm being greedy. You would say, that's crap. You're playing a story.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the cool thing about it is I don't want to be more, because I don't want to be a superstar and be on stage and show myself off and all that sort of stuff. The reason I want more is because the more people I touch, the more lives I change. And when I'm coming from a space of soul, when I'm truly connected to what my soul purpose is, then having more is coming from a place of love. I want to be able to, in 5 years' time, I want to be able to be such a successful mind coach that people who are really stuck and really can't afford to get into my program, I can help them out. I can, give them a week of my time for nothing so that I can change their lives, and that'll pay back to me. Right now I can't afford to do that. Well, my story is that I can't afford to do that, but that's crap. I could if I wanted to. If I push forward, if I get myself to where I want to get to, where I need to get to in order to change any lives I possibly can, that's not coming from a space of ego, that's coming from a space of soul. So if we continue with our story, with ourselves down, that's ultimately what it's all about. You're only letting you down. It's not about anybody else, it's about you. If I don't push forward, if I don't touch more people, I'm letting myself down.
There's key categories of where that story played out, aren't there? It's not just business. There's business and happiness and health and love and money. What are those areas where the stories play out? Because I want to make really clear here for you guys, particularly if this is new. Hey, look, yeah, Beck, I think a few people are having internet problems. I'm hoping this is going to save okay video, and then I'll share it with you in my weekly blog as well, but I'll post it to you guys first again. And I think Eliza's also got a little download that you're going to be able to get too, which is really, really cool. What I want to make really clear though is that one story, it's not just one story. There's stories that go across your life in different areas of that life. Sam, what was this? Love learned some family members through their actions growing up. If we want more, we should feel guilty. That's interesting. What's your take on that?
Whoa, if we want, from their premise, if we want more, we should feel guilty.
We should feel guilty.
That's a really classic one of this is where the tall poppy syndrome comes in, and it's really big, especially in Australia. You don't see it so much overseas in Europe and America because everybody sort of wants everybody to be success. In Australia, it's a really big one, and it runs really thick through a lot of people's, even down to our DNA. So what you've got to understand is, if you don't want more, are you happy with where you're at right now? Is it serving you right now? Are you getting to a space where you're 100% happy 100% of the time? Are you earning the money you want? Have you got the relationship you want? And why would you possibly, what crazy story in your head is running that it would be bad for you not to be happy? This all comes down to a level of self-worth. If we see ourselves for who we truly are, and most people don't know who we are. If I said to you, who are you? How do you respond to that? And you can't tell me that you are a mum, I'm a businesswoman, because they're just experiences you're having. They're not describing who you are. Why in the world do you not deserve to be happy? And what right does your family have to tell you that you're not happy, that you shouldn't be happy? So it comes down to self-deserving, and what do you think of yourself? And if you have a look, Sam, probably at the voices in your head, you probably find that you'll be putting yourself down more than you'll be putting others down, and that's a level of self-worth. If you understand who you are and your power and what you're put on this planet to do, your self-worth will go through the roof.
Sam is pretty friggin' awesome, I've got to tell you, and that's not just because she's a media darling, but and a aqua sports lover and fellow kite surfer. Although I'm a wannabe kite surfer, I still can't get the wind to participate. But yeah, absolutely spot on. I mean, I noticed when I went to America, Eliza, there was none of this tall poppy syndrome, and in fact when I came back to Australia, I was a little bit sad actually for the first time. I'm usually really excited about coming home because it's such an awesome place, but I noticed the big difference, and it's exactly what you're talking about, Sam, is that, and what I decided, I actually changed a story. I had a story going in my head, and I'd love to be more like Eliza, but when negative thoughts come up for me now, I literally challenge them and go in and clear the belief of where that came from. And I decided that I'm going to turn my light up. I'm not going to play small anymore. I'm not going to turn my light down to make other people feel comfortable. I'm going to turn my light up, because when I turn my light up, I help other people shine as well. And I give other people permission to shine. And is that what you experience, Eliza? I mean, we are talking about a societal belief with that tall poppy syndrome. You guys are all in this awesome tribe, and everybody in this tribe, you are seriously just awesome, and you're in there because you want to learn some cool media and PR skills to turn up your light. What's some other advice you might have for people who are building that profile and are feeling nervous?
Well, again, it comes down to self-worth and self-value. So Sam's just said rationally we know how we should feel and think, but it's addressing the subconscious stuff that takes the work.
Bingo.
Sam, what if I told you that it's actually really easy? And we've been given the raw end of the deal in self-help work for so long, and we've been taught that it takes ages to make change, and it's really hard to get to the root of things. What if I told you it wasn't that hard? It really is something that is a learned technique that once you learn it and you get on with it and you practice it and you train your brain, it's actually a very, very simple thing to do. I can change my subconscious beliefs now as I drive. When an emotion comes up that I don't want to feel anymore, I'll go in, I'll find the first time, and I'll fix it to its core, to the absolute first time that my brain was trained like that. So sorry to get off track. I didn't really answer your question there, Tanya, because I was responding to Sam's. But the truth is, it's not as hard as we make out. If I told you that your imagination creates your reality, why the hell don't we create a story in our head that's amazing, that's fun? And the only reason we don't is because we think we don't value ourselves enough, is we don't think we deserve it. The only reason you think you don't deserve it is because you were told no as a kid, because you got an answer wrong on a spelling test, because you went running up to mum one day with an amazing drawing and she was too busy and pushed you away. They're all little tiny things that at the time were massive to that little child, that created a level of self-belief that doesn't support you. If you knew that you were capable of anything the day you were born, if you've had children, that first day that you hold your child in your arms, are they limited? Is there anything that they can't be? Is there anything that they can't achieve? Well, you were that baby as well.
Just awesome comments in here, guys, and questions. Thank you so much. Keep them coming. Lindsay asked, is it because we're afraid of failing? And Susan said, or afraid of success? Absolutely spot on. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Tell us about those fears.
Both, because in some people's minds, a fear of failure, fear of getting an answer wrong, comes from being told, no, you're wrong at school, and or not necessarily at school, it can be any sort of event. But at the same time, what happens when we're a success and our little friend standing next to us feels terrible? We don't want them to feel terrible because of our success. So we lock in that when I'm a success, other people suffer, and that's one belief that I know I took it on. I didn't want to be a success because I didn't want to outshine my big sister.
And I didn't want to be a success because it meant I was going to be on my own. Because my story I was playing myself was that successful people were lonely, and to be successful there could be no one around you. And so that was one of the ones that we worked to to shift. And of course, the truth is you can decide who you want to take on your success journey with you. So, but it was just incredible, the power of that story. And if you'd have told me I was scared of success, I probably would have laughed at you, because it can be really sneaky and in disguise.
Yeah, and my life's purpose is to help other people see theirs and, you know, live their life's journey. One of my beliefs was that everybody's happiness relies on me. That's a massive weight on my shoulders. And the reason for that is because I'm fun, because I'm the one that everybody looks to for motivation.
Oh, we're back.
Sorry, we dropped out for a second. Okay, so
Lindsay asks if we think we aren't good enough. What happens if we think we aren't good enough? Great question, Lindsay.
we'll stop doing things. We'll stop doing a task. So let's say I'm not good enough to stand up in front of 1,000 people and tell my story. Well, why aren't you good enough? You think those 1,000 people aren't there to hear your story? That's the whole purpose of them being there, is to hear your story. That story runs all the time. If I'm not good enough, I won't start anything. If I'm not good enough, I'll just procrastinate. There's a big one for a lot of people, is we don't start things because we don't think it's going to be good enough in the end. I don't start things because I never finish anything. That was one of mine. And a very good friend of ours, Gillian, pointed out that my eyebrows finish nice and early, so I never finish anything. So now I have my eyebrows right out here. And then guess what? I'm starting to finish things. So our story of I'm not good enough, or even I'm too good. Okay, so here's one of mine. I'm a Virgo, which means I'm better than all of you guys. I'm better than everyone. I know the answer. You don't have to tell me anything. Guess what that does to somebody who is meant to be working with people? It shuts me down from hearing their story. And if I can't hear you, I'll make presumptions, I'll judge, and I'll be wrong. Okay, so if I am better than you, I am shutting myself off from you. That was a massive, massive thing for me. And the only reason I'm trying to be better than you is because I don't think I'm good enough. So that we need to get to the bottom of all of that, and it's very, very simple.
Now, Lindsay, you're being a little bit mischievous here, because it's not like writing a media release. You just haven't learned how to do that yet. And as soon as you learn it, like, you don't have procrastination problems because you started to write it, but your good friend, your dear friend Tanya, said, please don't until you know how to do it properly, because I'm trying to keep you safe. So I don't think you've got to worry about fear there at all, but nice one. I guess we'll be having that coffee.
So the question you have to ask yourself, Lindsay, is why don't you think you're good enough to write a media release?
He does. He started. I told him not to.
Oh, okay.
Because he doesn't know how to do it yet, and I'm trying to keep him safe.
Right. Okay, I would challenge you on that.
Well, there you go. There's a limiting belief in action. Lindsay, get writing.
Well, yeah, one of the things I learned recently is 80% is better than not at all. So if we want to, and yeah, you'll make mistakes. Well, none of us are perfect, and what do mistakes lead to? Learning. So, Lindsay, I would challenge Tanya on that one, and get on with it. Absolutely.
There you go. I've been told. So, Lindsay, get cracking. Is that your thumb up, Lindsay? Goodness me. Okay, get cracking. Post it in the group. We'll have a look.
Yeah. And let's get on with it.
Let's get on with it. Let's see your awesomeness. So, just on that issue of the story, one of my favourite sayings, again, those of you know me know that I love my action movies, and in the latest Rocky movie, Creed, he talks about, Sylvester Stallone says to, I can't think of the fighter's name, I'm sorry, but he says, look in the mirror, because who is staring back at you is your greatest opponent. And the fight that you need to win is the person staring back at you in the mirror. And like, it really is a head game, isn't it? It really is a head game.
Yeah, your biggest limitation is your thoughts, is your stories running in your head. Sam's just said she's trying to find and hang with people that get the journey we're all on. Finding people who support the mindset you want to develop or create is what I'm searching for in Facebook groups. Absolutely, Sam, because if you're around people who are supporting the story in your head, that it is too hard, that it has to be perfect before it goes out, that there's not enough money in the world, that business is hard, that you've got to lose money in the first 5 years of running your business, they're the wrong people to be around. They'll only strengthen your story. That was the big thing that I had to learn in the States, is I have to pull people up on their story so that they can change. I'm not running mine anymore. I'm catching them all the time, because none of that is true. None of that is real. It is only a story running in my head. if I'm around people, and I'm really lucky, I run our mindset group every Wednesday, and people who have studied our mastery program come and we just smash through beliefs on a Wednesday morning for 2 hours. The really cool thing about that is not only do they get to hang with their mindset coach and get shit done, I get to hang with people who want to move forward. And that is massive for my head as well. It means I'm moving forward, it means I'm making change. So it's a little selfish, and I run these groups so that I can improve people's lives, but the end result is I'm improving mine. And that's where we've got to understand our level of importance. If I'm the most important person right now, then I will choose to make change.
And P.S. Sam, we do have ladies who drive down from Brisbane to join this mindset group, the Inner Circle of the Mind Ninjas. So I just thought I'd mention that because I know your plans and the impact that you want to make, and you know it really does come down to mindset. So Eliza, tell me about. Okay, so you've found you've got a story. The story can play out in multiple areas of your life. You can be really successful in 1 or 2 areas, or even 95%, and it's just that last little bit, or vice versa, the majority. You found your story. Now what? How do you fix it? How do you pen a new chapter? How do you create that fairy tale ending?
The real key is the emotion that it brings up, because what in the past, in the way that we used to change beliefs in the past 30 years, things like, you know, there's been a lot of different modalities around to change mindset, but they're conscious programs. You know, I suppose, you know, most of you have probably done affirmations and, you know, said the power of positive thinking and all that sort of thing, which is all awesome, and we want to keep all of that up. But what you're only working on there is the conscious mind, and the subconscious is 1,000,000 times stronger. We want to get into the subconscious, but even more than that, we want to get into the emotion that it creates. Because in the past, we'd work on a belief, and a belief would be, I'm not good enough, let's say, and we'd take that out and throw it away. And then I'm not smart enough would come up, and we'd take that out and throw it away. What we actually want to work on is this bit. This is the emotion that's got 1,000 different beliefs connected to it. If I can take that out and throw it away, I'm actually getting rid of 1,000 beliefs at once. This is the power of the new way of doing mindset, is we no longer have to track for the thought, the time that thought was created. What we want to do is we want to go back to the emotion. The emotion is the absolute key. When your brain learned that response, I'll give you one of mine. Money, if I have money, I'll get hurt. I learnt that response as a 3.5, 4-year-old child when I watched my dad hit my mum, and they were talking about money. All right, she'd spent too much or done something wrong with the money, and he hit her. And I locked in the emotion of hurt. If I have money, I will get hurt. It will hurt me. So I then spent the next 35 years pushing money away. Okay, because if I had it, it would mean I would hurt inside. Okay, the emotion is what I need to clear there. That's not true. My dad hit my mum because of the way he was brought up. It had nothing to do with money. It was an excuse he used on the day. But as a little 3.5, 4-year-old child, I locked the two together. There is no logic in a child's mind. So what we can't do is we can't sit there and go, well, when did I think I learnt that? That's impossible. What we have to do is we have to learn a version of instant meditation, which again is really easy. We've been told it's really hard. We need to find the emotion, and the first time our brain was trained with that, because when our brain was trained with that, we locked in 1,000 different other things to it. And if we want to make massive change, and all of you have seen the massive change that Tanya's made in the last 2 years, it's because she's getting to the emotion behind things. If you can control your emotions in a situation, you have control. All right, if we think about when somebody loses their shit, what do we think of them? They're losing control, and they don't get the outcome that they want because they're being emotional. So the emotion is the key, Tanya. It's not simply about the story, it's how the story makes you feel. And I did a quick little Facebook live yesterday about setting goals and how does it make you feel achieving that goal in 5 years' time, because it's the emotion that's the key here. It's not just the words.
Yeah, you're so spot on. I mean, I've often said I literally could not do all that I have done in the last 2 years had I not had support, had I not had the tools to clear stuff, It hasn't been easy for me because I'm a cynical journalist. You know, it has.
She had a tinfoil hat on in our first session.
You know, I mean, this meditating crap, I mean, quite seriously. No, but all jokes aside, I needed someone. And now I'm at the point where I can clear this stuff myself, but I still work with Eliza weekly because this is literally won or lost in your mind. And I could not have even... And I think, you know, one of the reasons I was so passionate about getting Eliza on here is when you step up to expand your business, to literally, I know some people hate the take it to the next level, but it is to take it to the next level. When you do that, it triggers things. And, you know, 18 months ago, I was decided to take my business to Sydney and Melbourne, and people said to me, oh, well, are you going to talk down there first? No. And they said, but you need to talk down there, don't you? No. Why do I need to talk down there? We look like chooks, great. Thanks, Lindsay.
No, it says like the chooks, not we look like chooks.
Oh! Sorry. I don't need glasses, that's just a limiting belief. So, you know, when I decided to go to Melbourne and Sydney, there was some limiting beliefs that other people had about my business expansions. I didn't share those, but I certainly had other fears because I was a single mum, financially backing myself, taking a big maybe risk. I didn't see it that way. And I said to Eliza, I could not have done what I could have done, because when you step up, when you take your business to the next level, I don't know about you guys. The chicks in the background. Lindsay. Oh yeah, look at the girls. When you step up, that noise in your head gets louder. It goes from one speaker to stereo sound to surround sound, and like even just doing this global launch, I could not have done what I have done just to, again, as a single mum, and some people might go, oh Tanya, you know, it wasn't hard to go to America, but it kind of was a big deal going that way on my own. I've got to organise this and organise that, room full of strangers, I'm backing myself again, I'm all in, I'm totally invested, and I couldn't have done it without the mindset. And that's why I dedicate so much time. And in fact, many of my Media Darling students that I work with, and I work with either through my online training or through my private coaching, I will often say, do you have a mindset coach? And that's not just to send them to Eliza, because if you've got someone that's working with you, or you know of someone and you're getting there as results, keep working with them. But it's because mindset is key. So Eliza, tell us about that when you do step up, because people crack through, they reach a level and everything is calm again, and then when they want to go again, then the noise starts, the chatter starts in the head. What the hell is that about? Why does that happen?
It's actually a little bit the other way around, Tanya. When we get comfortable, the noise starts, because our soul, who you really are, doesn't want you to sit back and be just what you are right now. So the incongruence in our mind, the chatter between our conscious and subconscious mind, starts when we become less than what we're supposed to be.
So you might think you're stepping up, but you're not stepping up enough.
You're actually not doing it. That's exactly right. And that's why the chatter starts. When we're actually on path and we're rocking it and we're rolling forward, that's when we start to get really comfortable. Susan's just saying, you're an inspiration, Tanya. It was dynamite. Yes.
Hey, Sam, that was one of my nicknames, one of my more pleasant nicknames. And in the newsroom, my chief of staff, every time I walked in the morning, would sing, she's TNT. She's dynamite. Except my middle name's Charlotte. So, but thank you. I did consider changing it just so I could be. Thank you. Susan's comment.
Susan's just said, yes, when you see anger with money, you always limit yourself. You don't want anything to do with it. Yeah, and that's a big one. A lot of people relate, you know, rich people are horrible, rich people are bad. They're all societal beliefs, and our mastery program gets rid of a lot of societal beliefs. But if you think about money as an energy and you hate it, is it going to come to you? There's a story. That's what, if you think about, everybody knows animals are a really good judge of character. If you can't stand an animal, there's going to be some behavioural issues that show in that animal towards you. It's because of the energy you're holding towards it. And if you're holding a negative energy towards money, you will literally push it away. And this is the cool thing, is all you have to do is shift the energy around money, and all of a sudden the flow starts. It's not about doing more work. It's not about being better. It's not about any of that other than shifting the energy that you hold around money. And this is not woo-woo. This is actual science. We all know at our smallest particle we are just energy. The energy we put out is the energy that we receive back in. If you're thinking about money and it's negative, of course you're going to push it away. So all we have to do is find out when we programmed our brain with a negative energy towards money, and we have to shift it. When I say that's all we have to do, it's a learned process, okay? And that's what I teach, is we teach you how to get in and change it. You don't have to come back year after year after year and every 3 months for your top up. What you have to do is come and learn it, then you're on your own. You can go and do it yourself. If you're smart, you'll hang around people who are continuing the journey, who are, how big do you want to be? How good do you want to be? It's a challenge I put forward to Tanya 12 months ago, and she stepped up. And guess what? That's made me step up as well. Be around people who are willing to step up and are willing to push forward. It's really, really important.
And Susan, while we're on this topic of money, Susan Whelan, who works in this space as well in a different stream, gave me one of the greatest questions that I've been circulating and sharing, and I've seen many people do this too. So I'm not so sure, Susan, if it was your genius, but we'll give it to you because it was awesome. And Susan posted once in one of her groups, if money knocks on the door, what does it look like? And you can do that with love and happiness and that kind of thing. And when I've asked this question of people, if money knocks on the door, what does it look like? If money looks scary, or you open the door and money's not there, or there's only a little bit, or money doesn't want to come in. So if money knocked on the door and you were going to invite it in for a coffee, what would be standing there?
And how does it feel?
Yeah, tell us about that, Eliza.
Yeah, so our mind will give us, and this is the really cool thing about imagination, is your mind will give you the answers that you need. If you feel funny about money, then find out what it would look like at the door, because if you don't want to invite it in, that's you pushing the energy of money away, and it won't come in. I've seen people shift a money belief, and literally the next day their whole world changes because of the way money rolls in.
You're talking to one right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it can happen literally overnight. So the energy gives you the story. So how it feels when you open the door to money is exactly what you're getting out of your world, out of the world of money right now. I used to have, money is evil, all the really classic societal beliefs that used to just run in my head. So as soon as I get it, I want to give it away. Well, there's no power in that, guys, because all I'm doing is lowering my own self-worth. If I don't want to hold on to it, it's because I think I don't deserve it. But we have to get to the bottom of the feeling of that. If I don't deserve it, why? When did I learn that? Why did I learn that?
So moving forward, what's the next step for people watching this live streaming? Can they get in contact with you? If you've got something that we can share, we can post underneath this.
Sure, yeah. If you guys can just post your email address, I'll send out to you a little PDF that teaches you to listen. The first thing you have to do is be aware. You can have up to 60,000 thoughts a day, and what we need to do is be aware of them, because if they're not aware of them, what happens is the thought will come in, we'll let it run, and then the emotion will be triggered. And this is how we lose control of our day. You can be having an amazing day, and you can hear one statement or feel something that will just shift it around. For example, you can wake up in the morning and say, it just feels like I'm going to have a shit day today. Congratulations, you've just invited in that negative energy, and that's all you will experience for that day. So awareness is the first thing, Tanya. We have to be aware of what we're thinking. The little PDF I'm going to send to you takes you through how we create our ego, why it's created, where the stories in our heads come from. I'm trying to
get better sunlight on you. Sorry, it's my Quentin Tarantino moment. Yeah.
And awareness is the first thing. So the first thing you guys have to do is listen to yourself. The reason we judge other people is because we don't want to listen to what's going on in our head. It's a really, really good distraction for what we're actually thinking about ourselves. So self-awareness is number one. Spend the next week listening to what you're thinking. But the really cool thing is, if you get really good at hearing yourself, is when you hear something negative in your mind, understand it's the opposite of the truth. Your ego lies to you all the time. It tells you fibs. All right, so when you hear, I'm not good enough to do this, The truth is that you are, and your ego is lying to you. If you just reverse that statement and notice how it makes you feel, you will have more control over your future than you've ever had before. Because it's those little voices that we let run that create the negative feeling that put us in a spiral. Stop, hear it, say the opposite. Exactly the opposite of what you just heard in your head, and feel how it feels. I'm not capable of this. I am capable of this. I got this. What's the difference in the feeling? All right, so it will literally change your future if you can understand that the voices in your head are saying the opposite of what is true. When they're negative, they're saying the opposite of what is true. And if we get control of that, we control our entire life. Everything that you're living right now is because of you. Accept that, take responsibility for it, and take control of it. And you'll change everything about how you're living right now. One of the things that people really don't get is how amazing everyone is. When I meet people now, I meet their soul, and people are incredible. There's not a soul I meet out there that isn't capable of changing the world. And my job is to get out there and show people that. If you can connect to who you really are, you won't believe your ego anymore. You'll understand the power that you have and how big your journey is and how amazing your journey is going to feel when you connect to it. So first thing, be aware, catch your thoughts, and say the opposite.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eliza. Now, Lindsay did request, he said that this was fantastic. Thank you so much. And yes, Lindsay, it's more than $100 that you want outside your door, because your worth is, well, money wouldn't be able to carry your worth to the door. Let me tell you that much. Thank you guys for your comments, your feedback, and your support. I know the internet has not been so great here. So if when I replay this, if it's not working, Lindsay did request that because this is so fantastic that we do another interview. So if it didn't work, I will. Eliza and I will organise to sit down, do an interview in studio and share that with you. Thank you.
Recording should be able to be shared. Just before we go, sorry to interrupt, Tanya. Sam has just said, what about when physical illness gets in the way of your ability to control your mindset? Well, the really cool thing is that's absolutely true. Your physical illness is coming up because you're not listening to your head, right? When we don't listen to whispers, the body makes it more obvious by making sick. So you will self-sabotage with illness. The real cool thing is, we had it this morning, one lady said she had a toothache come. She had a big job to be done. She had a massive toothache come up. All she did was go in and clear the belief around that and clear the negative energy around that, and the toothache went away. The reason you're getting sick is because you're not listening, and your body must manifest it in a louder way so that you will listen. So all we have to do is start listening. And I don't get sick anymore. If I feel ill, you know, if I'm going to bed at night and I can just feel, I did it the other night, a bit of a sore throat coming up, and there's a few people around me that have been sick, all I did was go in and clear, why would that be coming up right now? Why would I be limiting myself right now by getting sick? I clear that, I wake up in the morning brand new. Your mind has ultimate control. Your body is just yelling at you because you're not listening to your mind.
There we go. You heard it first with Eliza. Again, thank you so much, Anthea. Thank you for your lovely feedback. So pleased that this was being able to help. And as Eliza said, please put your email addresses below this thread, and we will get that freebie to you. You are very welcome, Lindsay. You rock too, you know that. Hey Debbie, we're about to go. I'm sorry about the patchy internet. We'll see what we can do. You know, if as I said, if this wasn't salvageable, we will do it again.
No, we'll salvage it. We'll get it on, and it'll be on my wall as well. So if you have trouble finding it, just search my wall as well.
Awesome. You're so welcome. Have an amazing day and amazing weekend, and go out and be all that you can be, to give permission to everyone else to go out and be all that they can be. So go and be awesome, guys.
Go and be amazing.
See you.
Bye.